Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the May koha-US System Admin Special Interest Group. We're getting started a little late today due to some always fun technical difficulties. Let's see, I'm Lisette Shear. I work at the Latah County Library District, and I'm the chair of this SIG. I see a couple new names, so maybe we should just go around real quick and say hello. I'm going to call people out. Jason.
That's me. I'm Jason Rupp. I'm the Southeast Seek Event Coordinator at the Southeast Kansas Library System. We have a koha consortium of 48 libraries now, and we have been running koha since 2008. And I'm also the koha-US Secretary.
Cool. I probably should have also said more information. Like, we're also part of a consortium of 48 libraries, ValNet, and we've been on koha since 2014. Yeah. And I'm the past president of koha-US. Barbara.
I'm Barbara Johnson at Bedford Public Library, Texas. We're a single library, and we've been on koha since 2016, and I'm the current koha-US Vice President.
Heather.
I'm Heather Hernandez, and I work at San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park Research Center, a museum collection, and we are hosted and supported by ByWater. And I also chair the koha-US Cataloging SIG, which is always a good time, always an informal roundtable with questions, answers, open discussion. All are welcome to that. And I also chair the koha-US Education Committee, where we try to do our best to put out educational materials into the world and welcome people to those meetings too.
Thanks, Heather. Jan?
Hello, hi. I am voucher for Heather's talking about the cataloging. I've been there many times, so I say I know few faces there. I working for a law firm library. It's called K&L Gates Law Firm Library, and I've been there about 16 years. Started as a cataloger, now is technical service librarian, and we start with koha October 2019, so I'm fairly new, and I learned a lot from at least cataloging interest group meeting Heather and Jason hosted, and also learned a little bit self-taught myself a little bit like SQL language too, so I can do some reports, and I'm really want to be more attending more with admin meeting as well. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We're happy to have you here. Okay, Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm a local history librarian and our system administrator at Corona Public Library. We're a standalone library, and we've been with koha since 2013.
Okay, Brenda.
Brenda Owens with Washoe County Library System. We have 12 different libraries, and we've been with koha since 2012.
Daniel.
Hi, Daniel Gaghan. I'm the Systems and Admin Librarian at Pueblo City County Library District, and we have been at koha since 2018. Wow, it's been a couple of years. I'm also the chair or the head of the circulation SIG meeting, and there we talk about issues that we're seeing in koha or hints or tips on circulation or checking out materials or anything related to user services, which the group used to be called, but we changed it to circulation. Anyway, we're always welcoming new members, so if you get a chance, show up and or submit questions. We would love those too. So
Daphne.
Hi everyone, I'm Daphne Houlihan. I'm with Interleaf Technology and we provide installation, support, hosting, training for koha in Ireland. And we've been doing that for over 10 years now. I can't remember how long, but that's us. So I attend these meetings normally and sit here silently just trying to gain information. I always assume you're ahead of us and you find any, I'm going to say nice things first or any problems. So that it's an alert system for us. So appreciate being able to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you. And Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie D'Angelico. I'm with the small public library, Pennsauken Library in New Jersey. I'm the sysadmin, cataloger, acquisitions reference head. So I attend a lot of these SIGs. We just came on with ByWater as our support just in January of 2020, right before the shutdown. So I'm still trying to do a lot of customization and try to get our system doing what we want it to do. So it's been kind of a slog. So these meetings have been a lot of help. I pick up a lot of tips from them.
Great. Okay. Welcome to everybody. Does anyone have any announcements today? I'd probably be the one with announcements and I don't have any. Does anyone have any reports that they'd like to talk about or questions on reports that they have? We're starting to work on some inventory. That's weird. So we're just starting to work on some inventory reports. I know some people have used the inventory tool because of who's doing the inventory. Some of our branches has volunteers doing it. So we're just having everybody like check everything in. And then I'm working on a couple reports, one that'll tell us anything. We're recording like what day they start that section. So we can do like a shelf list of anything that is older or that the last seen date is before whatever the date they started that section was kind of what we were planning on doing. We're still playing around with it. We're just getting started. Like we sent out the instructions yesterday. So we have a little bit of time to figure out the reports because they'll have to do a section. We want them to do like a whole collection before we'll run the reports. So that's kind of what I'm working on report-wise this month. I don't know if anyone else has any reports they're working on that they want to share or any questions.
I have a big nasty club holds report, but nobody probably cares about club holds except me at this point. So
I'm interested in finding out more about club holds.
Let me share my screen, I guess. I don't think I've got any like private information identifiable. I'll edit it out if I do. I think it's this one. Okay, so this is my potential club holds report. Does everybody see that? Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to do with this report is come up with a way to, I guess I should back up. So the way we have clubs set up, and I can show you that, is by author. And since we're a consortium, we're trying to just have one club per author and have all of our libraries add their patrons. So right now we've got regular print clubs. I just started doing large print clubs last week. So I've got all the clubs set up, and what I'm trying to do with the report is come up with a way to list out newly added titles that probably need club holds placed on them, but might not have them on them yet. So that's what this report's doing. It's looking at the newest added items. It's joining messily on the club name, which is the author name, and it's joining that to the author field from Biblio to tie in the bib information. And then I've got some, like you can go in and see these directly link to separate reports, so that the libraries can run it and see who's enrolled in that specific club for this author. And then if there's holds that have been placed, they can click there and see which holds have been placed. So it's, like I said, it's kind of big and messy, but I think I've got it mostly working the way I want it to. And so kind of debugging it a little bit to try and filter out things that we don't want club holds on, like paperbacks. I filtered that out using the 18 centimeter size. I filtered out like sound recordings and DVDs, I guess, using some of the encoding fields, the 08 and the 07. I've also filtered out large print items that way and children's items. So as long as our cataloging is up to snuff, it's working. But every once in a while when I run it, I'll come across a title that shouldn't be on there. So that's kind of how I've been working through debugging it. So my next goal is to try and get that to show up using jQuery. So when you go to place the hold for the club, then it'll pop up and say, this is what the most recent holds are. Right now we're just doing all the club holds in-house, but I want to try and open that up to some of my librarians so that we're sharing the burden on placing club holds whenever a new title is added. But I'm weary that they're gonna place duplicate holds and things like that. So I'm trying to come up with ways to make that a little more clean. Did I do anything else interesting in this report? I don't know.
You said it was messy, and it probably is, but I like the, having the author club link that way. I think that was neat.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 100% accurate just because of the what's in the author field. I don't know. Yeah, and then my large print, I've got another one specifically for large print. So that one looks like this. And there's not as much on it, but my large print is the same sort of join. It's trimming off the large print dash, which I've formatted all my clubs to work that way. That's the cleanest way I could come up with. And then I'm having to trim like a comma off of the author.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure that join is catching everything just yet either. I haven't had a way to test that out. But I'm open to suggestions and ideas from the group. This one is using the form, the medium, the paging. It's looking pretty much everywhere. It might say large for the large print to try and just pull in large print titles. So here, the E, the D maybe, maybe not the E.
Do you have a large edition, large print item types?
We do not. We have a large print shelf locations.
Oh, okay. Because you could probably also pull bibs where there were large print shelf locations on items on the record.
I don't actually have items tied into this report at all. It got really tricky trying to get the item data pulled in. So I tried to just keep it at the bib level.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
So that's what I've been working on, reports-wise. Interesting.
Okay. Anyone else have any neat report things or report questions? Last time we talked about adding reports to the Koha reports library. Has anyone done that since our last meeting?
I recovered my password during the cataloging SIG because I wrote a report for the cataloging SIG. And then I didn't actually get in and post it, but it's on my to-do list.
Who else on Elasticsearch versus Zebra? Are you on Elastic, Heather? Is that what?
We're on Elastic.
Yeah, we're on Elastic, and we just added some of the linking entry fields to our indexing.
Mm-hmm. We had to add some subject subfields where like some of the subfields were in, but not all of them, which was causing some issues. We've been on it for like over a year because I'm pretty sure we turned it on like after Pueblo conference. So sometime in between that and when we closed, I think was when we turned it on.
Yeah, we've been on it for a while too, and we were cataloging more electronic resources for obvious reasons. And we use subfields in the 856 for a display text to say who the link is. So for example, Internet Archive, Library of Congress, something like that. And realized that would be useful to index sort of as a publisher for that item, because people would be thinking, oh yeah, I know it's digitized, I saw it there.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody else had any issues with the weights just disappear? And, staff will come back to me and say, we're not finding things and this is not working. And I'm like, well, I don't know, it should be working. And then I go in and look at Elasticsearch and it's like, well, I don't have any weights in there. Well, obviously it's not working very well. I don't know if it happened through a point upgrade but.
What version are you guys on?
We're on, I think, 2005.10, I think.
I think that's what we're on also. I'm just going to go in and check. Because, yeah, we're on 25.10 and make sure our weights didn't all disappear.
It's probably just us.
Okay, we've got, it looks like we've still got all our weights. Whew.
Another question I had that I came up with this morning in searching, I have a title called, I think it's called Meg and Joe, and the actual title has an ampersand. So if I search for Meg and Joe, A-N-D, but I do it as a title search, it doesn't come up, even though I have the Meg A-N-D Joe in a 246 tag. So it's in the record and it finds it as a keyword search. But if I do it as a title search, it doesn't come up.
Yeah,
I thought that was weird.
We also have that now that you say that. That might have to do with the bug I just put in the chat, which is 28309. Searching with hyphen doesn't work with Elasticsearch. There's a bunch of like punctuation stuff. There's also, I just saw that one yesterday. I guess it was just reported yesterday.
And I think, Barbara, where you put in the alternative in the tag 246, you might need to check that the 246 is being indexed. I'm not sure it's indexed by default.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so we pretty much have the default except a few subfields we've added. Which field was that?
It's the 246.
Which tag? Or which subfield? Or just the 246?
It's the A.
It's just A, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that's in the defaults.
Okay.
I have my consortium systems meeting today, and we're actually talking about what other subfields we're going to need to get added on to that. So I will make note. But yeah, there's a bunch of like Elasticsearch exact authority search includes punctuation. I guess that's more, we don't really use the authority records. But then there's also, yeah, there's some problems with Elasticsearch and punctuation, because there's also like if something has an apostrophe, it doesn't work right unless you put, okay, like before we upgraded on Zebra, if you didn't put the apostrophe on, like, I can't think of a good example right now, on something with an apostrophe, it would still come up with the title. But on Elasticsearch, unless you put a tilde at the end of the word, it doesn't fuzzy it enough to find it. And I have a bug about that I'm just not finding right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay, so 26815, that it doesn't, when set to try, the query fuzzy should try fuzzy searches on Elastic without having to add a tilde after each search term. Because it's, yeah, it does have some support for fuzzy, but only if you do the tilde. So, which is just like, even for staff training, for staff training, that's fine. But if it doesn't come up, people might not remember. And we did add like a note on our OPAC no results page. So if something comes up, it'll say, if there's punctuation, try putting a tilde after that word, like punctuation within a word. Try putting a tilde and to help with that. But if it's not coming up, like the Meg and Joe came up with other results, but not the correct results, so. Yeah, okay, so for searching with a hyphen, it works to search it surrounded by quotes, Heather said. That's good to know. Yeah. I wonder if searching for Meg and Joe with quotes. Probably not, because it's the opposite problem. That we want it to be more fuzzy there. Oh, actually, if I put a quote and did Meg and Joe, it does come up with that. Oh, in a keyword search.
So we're still on Zebra, and it sounds like Elasticsearch is a little bit more involved when setting up. You guys actually think it's worth making the change?
We're very happy making the change, because even though it's some work setting up and then playing with it and refining, we do get things to work better the way we want them for titles and related titles and subjects and the waiting for the retrieval. So we've been much happier, actually. But then again, we're a very specialized collection.
Well, we found that it brought the results further up in the list. So if you have a title that you've got the regular print, the large print, the sound recording, and maybe it was made into a movie, and you've got even something else. There were times with Zebra where we might not find our result until the second page of results. So it was buried. So you're thinking, if it doesn't come up in the first 10 things, you must not have it. And yet it was on, the second page. And this does seem to bring the results much higher up in the list. So I'm pleased with it for that.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with Elasticsearch. Our searching also is going faster now than it was on Zebra. Our Zebra searches were really pretty slow when we switched over, so there was a very noticeable difference. But also like titles, especially if someone's looking for like books on cats, it would come up with if there was a fiction book that had cats a lot of times in the description or the summary, it would sometimes come up before the movie Cats. If you weren't doing a title search, which patrons don't seem to tend to use the search drop downs from when I've been helping them. And we also have like substitute staff who, they work to fill in like when people are on vacation or whatever, and at the branches if they need extra help. And they almost never remember to use those drop downs. Our regular staff is a little bit more likely to use those. But having the weighting, I think, has really helped patron searches, except for when other things aren't working because we don't have fields indexed, which we're still working on that. But because what will happen is we think we'll have it all fixed, and then usually my director will run across something very niche and a very specific set of things, and she was very used to the way the old searching was done, and so sometimes she'll try to use like a phrase that she used before to limit results that doesn't work as well under Zebra just because of how we have or under Elastic than it did because of how we have the indexes set up. So just some learning progress there.
Can I ask you a question? So you guys talking about Zebra Elastic. I don't even know what's that. So it seems like kind of a way to do keyword searching, but how do I know what the system koha we use? What I don't even know from what you said. What do we use right now?
Yeah.
What exactly is Zebra and Elastic?
So they're two different search engines. So it's how the search is indexed and run. Zebra's been the default for a long time. I don't know on newer installations if they're trying to do more newer on Elasticsearch. I'm not sure.
Oh, I guess just I'm doing search, but I just don't know what behind it. I guess what the name is Zebra or Elastic. I don't even know.
If you look in your about in Koha, and it'll say it is under the Zebra version. At least that's what it says on mine. So yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have both the Zebra version and the Elasticsearch version, but I think unless you have Elasticsearch installed, you won't see that. And then the other thing you can do also is go to the administration and search for Elastic, or wait.
Okay.
No, search for...
Mine showing Zebra version 2.0, 2.0.59.
And does it show an Elastic at all?
No.
Yeah, so you're still on Zebra. I think still doing that by default because we're still finding, even those of us who've been on it for a while are still finding some issues. So I think if you were having problems or wanted to find out more, are you supported? I forget. Yeah. ByWater? Yeah. So you could also ask ByWater about if they think it would be helpful for your institution. And like what the benefits might be for you. I think one of the biggest things for us was really our searches were slowing down a lot, and it's just because we're a consortium with 48 libraries, and some of the libraries are fairly large. I mean, not like huge city libraries or whatever, but serving a population of like 40 or 50,000 people. And so
if you use Elastic, does that like in a catalog when you search, does that look different? Like
it looks the same, but sometimes the like order is different because Zebra. I'm trying to think of like the best
Zebra
way.
uses an algorithm that is defined, and we don't know what it does. It just does it. You can't influence it. Whereas with Elastic, you can decide how you want to assign your priorities, but there's a lot of setup involved in it.
Yeah, and I know that ByWater has kind of some defaults that they have set up. So if they're putting someone on, they can just kind of import the defaults that they've set up by testing with the early adopters they had. But then we can also go in, and again, this is something you do with your with ByWater or your support company, because you've got to re-index. So like they ran ours last time we had to update some fields. They like set it and had it re-index overnight one night. So there's like the different search fields, and is it searchable, and then you can weight it. And so you can say like, well, we have the title as the highest weight. And so then if something has cats in the title, it's going to come up before something that doesn't have cats in the title but has it a bunch of times in the summary. And things like that. And so like these are all weighted differently. Title series, subjects, contents is weighted lowly, authors weighted kind of in the middle. And then, so these are the different records mapping fields where you can set up like for the search field, what are we mapping it to? Is it a facet on the search results? Which is also nice because maybe some libraries want to use, especially specialized libraries I could see might want more facets or different facets than like a public library. Is it searchable? I don't really know. I think the suggestions, does that have to do, I don't know what that part is. And you can set up, like these are all part of the author title, different fields and subfields to make sure that everything's covered. And so like when we had to add a couple of subject fields, these like some of the 650s weren't in that we were using. And so now they're in there, and then ByWater re-indexed it for us. And that's definitely one thing about changing it is making sure that you talk to them first, because I think you have to re-index it as soon as you make changes or your searching gets really weird.
Okay.
So it's really better, since if you're supported, to just have them do it for you, because they can set it up and set up the index to not mess it up while you are working.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So yeah. Let's see. Got a couple. And then I don't know if anyone has any other topics. The other thing I had on here was the 2011 update. Although I did find out that from ByWater that we're probably not going to update until later in the year. So everybody who wasn't early adopters doesn't have to do 3 updates this year. Because the early adopters updated in November, but the non-early adopter partners mostly didn't get updated till like February and early March, I think, maybe a little at the end of January. So then it would have been like another update next month and then another update next fall, which just would have been a lot for you guys. So I think that's kind of the rumblings that I'm hearing these days about that.
So Lisette, for early adopters, what time frame are they looking at?
I do not. Margaret, she and I have been talking about it some, and they're talking about it in a meeting today. I was asking because we have our systems meeting this afternoon, and like if we were going to be meeting soon to talk about update, making sure that we could just talk about it today instead of having another meeting scheduled. So she was going to try to get some more information at the meeting today about like making sure that if there's things that we need in the 2005 or 2011, making sure that we early adopters can get those or talk about that some. So I'll let you know when I hear from her what she says. Yeah, because we updated like the first or second week of November, both of us. So it's been a while. I know I told her some of the things that we were particularly excited for. None of them are like, they're mostly just some nice enhancements. Like the damage status is going to show on the check-in page, which is going to be really nice. But none of it is like, oh, if we don't get that till next fall, things are broken. But I did kind of let her know, like, these are the things I know my consortium is interested in case that matters to you guys. But also, like, letting her know that none of it's desperately needed for us. So I think they're kind of still trying to figure out what to do for us so that we're not, like, left in limbo forever, but also not making, like, a ton of extra work for them. So soon the 2105 update should be out, and I'll be interested to see those release notes. I feel like I've got a lot of emails about bugs I follow getting pushed to 2105. So yeah.
I've got some questions about quick spine label printing. So we've got some Dymo printers and we're setting things up, and I'm not the one doing it, but what my staff member is telling me is that, so she got everything set up right on her computer and connected Dymo printer. So now we're setting it up for another staff member and it's printing differently. And I've read some things about like browser settings or settings in the, I guess in the print dialog. Is that where things need to get changed for anybody who has experience with this?
I don't have experience with like printer label stuff, but for just printing like the differences on slips from different libraries or from different computers, yeah, probably has to be in either those settings or possibly the printer settings on the computer sometimes have been adjusted manually and need to be changed. Especially margins seems to be the biggest issue we have. Is different margins both on the printer itself settings and also in the print dialog, like from the
because we've got the
settings.
CSS set up in the intranet user CSS, and so but they're printing differently on the two computers. So that was the last thing I found was, and we haven't tried anything yet, but it seemed like maybe it was in the actual print dialog pop-up printer settings, I guess.
Barbara, I do have some printing kind of different when we first started under Lucas. He helped from ByWater. He helped us with all those design because I show him what the label we have. So he designed all this, including margin, lots of details, and the back and forth a lot of time because so many details. And so maybe he's the person you can talk to. He knows a lot about this label design. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I put a moratorium on Dymos for us because we've just had so many problems with them. But I did just dig up my like really messy instructions on what we had put together, and I linked that in the chat.
What kind of problems?
Mostly like hardware problems more than software problems. Like they would just eat up labels. We could eventually they just wore out and weren't worth the effort to try and fix. So we're
not planning to use them exclusively because we have sheet labels set up that do 30 at a time, and right. I can run those through. I like to only have to run them through like maybe twice, because if you run the sheet through, more than that, the label stock starts to look yucky. But this is more for like, I've quickly done 3 things and I'd like to get labels for, a short, quick number of things.
Yeah, and we ended up switching to Zebra printers just because they, in-house at least, they're more expensive, but we had the exact same problem you're talking about with the sheets, where we would just end up throwing away sheets because they got too dark after a certain point. So our catalogers in-house do use Zebra printers, but most of our libraries out in the field are still printing on sheets. But yeah, we've had too many problems with the Dymos to like keep supporting them. I keep like telling people to buy them because they're a cheap option, but they end up causing more headaches than anything. So I don't know if these settings still work, but this is how we were setting it up in both Firefox and the Windows settings before.
We'll take a look at that. And one thing I remember, I think the reason we chose Dymo was there was a conversation about labels fading. So I think that we chose the Dymo because we thought that maybe they would be better at that. Do you have any issues with fading with the Zebra?
So we chose Zebra for that reason, because it has thermal transfer wax. So that's more permanent. The Dymo is using just direct heat to burn in the label, basically. So if those labels set out in the sun for any length of time, then they can start fading, I think. Okay. I saw Heather giving the thumbs up, so she might have more input on that type of stuff.
So the Zebra is really the better option for that then?
For the more permanence, okay. Yeah, I think. But again, it's a higher cost with that as well, because you have to replace the wax ribbons, and we have had to replace the print head on one of them. We've had them several years now though, so but they've worked out pretty well. It's the same sort of setup. You have to fight with Zebra's clunky retro software to get it to really be cooperative, and then you have to get the browser settings just right so that your margins don't get out of whack.
Okay, well, I'll take a look at that. Thanks.
Yeah, Jason, I don't know if you're using it, but we have a very dated OCLC tool for our Zebra printers that has quite the acrobatics to get it set up the first time. But then once you get it going, they're workhorses back there for the processing department. They just go and go and go. And like, shoot, we replaced one not because we needed to, but because the cable on our new computer, we wanted a USB instead of having to try and find the adapters for those PS2 plugs and stuff. So, I mean, like, it was, yeah, the printer was fine, but we were just like, the adapter was what was causing the problem. So we've had really good luck with them. But yeah, there is kind of that initial head scratching. But your document there is basically what we have to do with our, we have a little Dymo printer as well. It's kind of looking into those margins and the weird things of the offset to make sure your tape rolls are the right size. That's always a thing that would, kind of mess up our process back there. But yeah, 2 thumbs up from Eric for Jason's recommendations. So
And Heather said her zebra printers are little workhouses with thermal printing. Use the free Zebra software for printing the spine labels, copy paste from Koha, and printing the barcodes. Yeah, I think we do printing on sheets of labels, but I think they just wait until they can use a whole sheet.
Yeah.
Because we have enough cataloging that we can do that. Or do, you know, maybe half a sheet one time and half a sheet another time, so it's not going through so many times.
Yeah, we occasionally use sheets for if something like a big set is being moved from one location to another, and we'll print the same, you know, I want a full sheet of the same label for this periodical, that sort of thing. But for checking in periodicals and our cataloging, the little zebras with the call numbers are great. And the setup with the Zebra software to have it do the barcodes, the free software is wonderful. It just has our library name and it's like start at this number and project it and give me 30 and just to spin small little labels out.
Okay. We are hitting the top of the hour now, but we did start late, so if people want to stick around a little extra, that's totally fine.
I do have a question about the inventory report you're talking about. Like for us, I don't even know there's an inventory something in the Koha. So why you use inventory? We use cataloging for all those reports stuff. So why you need the inventory on where is it in the Koha?
So
I didn't see it.
We're trying to make sure that what's on the shelf matches what's in the catalog. We haven't done any inventory, really not very well organized inventory in about 5 years. And so just like making sure that things that it says are on the shelf are actually on the shelf. Stuff walks off all the time. Like we just found a ripped out barcode shoved behind some books in our nonfiction section and the book's gone. So that our catalog is up to date and actually shows what we have. And also sometimes things will be on the shelf with a damage status because it never got taken out, and then that means patrons can't place holds on it because it's damaged. Or sometimes things make it back to the shelf without getting checked in, and so like getting that all taken care of and just kind of cleaned up, and letting us know if there's gaps where like a bunch of stuff has gone missing over time that needs to be cleaned up. And there is an inventory tool in Koha, which I've played around with a little bit, but we decided that just doing the check-ins was easier because we're having volunteers do some of it. So then we don't have to train them on the whole tool. We can just have them check things in, and then I can run reports, or the branch managers at our smaller branches can run the reports once we know that it's working. So then they can check for things that didn't get scanned in that should have been on the shelves. And if it's not there, we can mark it as lost and follow our procedures for getting it out of the catalog.
Maybe I have misunderstanding with the word inventory. So for me, most like a waiting process, like what we did, I ran the reports, like shelf list reports from cataloging. Then all the reports were in call number order. So for instance, one branch, they want to waiting, shelf reading. Then I ran these reports and send to them. Then they print out this Excel, using an Excel spreadsheet. And so they go on the shelf, just do the shelf reading. So get rid of something. Maybe this thing's old. So they will come back to me, say this is deleted. So they mark on the spreadsheet. And also there's maybe something on the spreadsheet, they are not on the shelf, they will tell me too. So that's how, does they call inventory too? I don't know, because I heard about the inventory. Seems another system, they have even one module even called or apps called inventory. So I was often confused with this inventory with the cataloging module. I mean, I think that's part of cataloging. How come you often heard like inventory and like inventory reports. I feel like I'm out, so very out. Like people talking about inventory, I have no idea about what inventory is.
Yeah, so for us, it's more about less about like the weeding. Our collections librarians do that, where they go through and decide. This is just about like making sure that what our and yeah, it could totally, in some places it would make sense to have like the cataloging department do it, just making sure that like what's on the shelf is also matching what's in the catalog. And this is just like a way where we can have other staff work on it. Like we've been doing it at our main branch to kind of pilot the procedures before rolling it out to our 6 other branches in our district. And so we just have like, if it's slow, circ staff go out and do like a section and they can check it in. And so then it's like, we'll be able to get it through a lot more than if our collections people or our we only have 3 people in tech for our whole 7 branch district. So they don't really have the time to also run inventory on even just the main branch, let alone all 7 branches. And so, yeah, Koha does have a way to print an inventory list like that, or even actually, I think you can run it, and then do it like off a tablet or a laptop. And I think Jason's done more with the inventory tool, so he can maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, our process is just to take a tablet, set it with Dropbox, and then we scan all of the barcodes into it, and then we upload our list of barcodes to the inventory tool in Koha. And all that really does is checks everything in. So it checks everything in that's in that with the barcodes. It'll give you some reporting, like I was trying to see what the different things were, but it'll tell you if it was marked missing. It'll tell you if it was in the wrong place. We run it by shelf location. So we scan a shelf location, then we upload it. And if there was something setting in that shelf location that doesn't match the shelf location we picked, it'll tell us that that's in the wrong place and we need to go get it and fix it or move it. It'll also find things that are where the barcode isn't found, and that can either mean that the item was deleted from the catalog, but it's still sitting on the shelf, or it can mean that the barcode's not working correctly, it wasn't entered correctly, so we need to fix that. It'll tell us if items were checked out and sitting on the shelf, so things that had gotten to the shelf but not checked in. So it gives a little bit of reporting. It used to give more information, and then there was an update, and it's not as comprehensive now. But that's how we use it. And then we can also use it to find things that are misshelved. So we've got that list of barcodes, which is like our snapshot of the shelf. And then if we're looking for something on the holds queue, say, and we can't find it, we can go back to that snapshot of the shelf and see where it was when we scanned. And that'll tell us where to look if it got a little out of place.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And my favorite inventory tool that I've ever used is actually in Horizon. I think you check it in. It basically works like you check it in, but it'll tell you if it's shelved in the wrong place and all this stuff like as you're going. So like we'd just take a computer out and then you'd scan it into the inventory tool and it would tell you like thumbs up, just put it back, or it would be, like, oh, this was misshelved, this is in the wrong location. And it was really nice because it was like pretty fast, but also really obvious when something was wrong, even things that that wouldn't normally show up. And so that's kind of always my dream to have inventory like that.
Very useful to do that. But in Koha, where is the place you do inventory? How do you said you check in? What's the tool in Koha?
Well, so for me, we're just using like the regular check-in. So just like this screen, and we're just checking them in, and then I'm running reports based off the last seen dates. So just like the regular check-in screen.
So you type the barcode in or use the scanner?
We'll scan it in. We have, at our branch, we have an iPad and a Bluetooth scanner, although there's an issue with that, which is that it doesn't put the cursor back in the box. So you have to tap it. Yeah. The branches, and also depending on who's doing inventory at our branch, they use a Chromebook with a scanner attached to it. And they'll just go and check it in and watch the screen, just like when we're doing check-ins, to pull out anything that, if it was checked out or lost, or if they're also shelf reading as they go along. So if it was like in the wrong place, it can go home, go to the right place. Or if it's not in the system, they set it aside and handle it at the circ desk, the same way we would if someone came to like check out a book that wasn't in the catalog. So
thank you so much.
And then
that's really helpful. Actually, I just often wonder what the inventory is.
Yeah, and then the inventory tool that that is built into Koha is here in the tools. And so Jason was talking about the file, that you can choose a file and you can tell it not to scan, not to check in items if they're checked out. You can tell it to check barcode lists for items shelved out of order. Or you can do this item location filters where you can say, I want it to be, you know, Beauville Library, and I want to do the new DVDs. We have too many shelving locations. I want to do all the new DVDs. And then I always have to try it a couple times. I don't remember if this excludes items that are not for loan or includes items that are not for loan. And we'll say skip ones that are on hold awaiting pickup and skip ones that are on loan. And skip any records that are seen after you started inventory. And then, and you can have it export to a CSV file too if you want. So then this will show anything that's like missing, right? Because I didn't, or this will show everything that's there, and you can just go through and say like, oh yes, that's there. So that's another way to do the inventory if you're like on a screen, or taking a Chromebook out.
Yeah, and the inventory tool is confusing.
Yeah,
because it does a lot of different things. Like I put my a link to my inventory documentation in the chat too. And if you scroll to the page where you actually get to the inventory using the tool, I've just got X's all over everything. Like we use two or three of those filters maximum, and then I've got some of the checkboxes defaulted, and the rest of it we don't use. So if you want to see how our process goes, I did put that Google Drive link in there as well, which it also talks about using the iPad and Dropbox and stuff. It's very specific to our situation, but it could be adapted if you're looking for a process.
Okay, very, very useful. Thank you so much.
And Lisette, I think this bug 12733 looks like it's an interactive inventory type thing. Yeah. It's an older bug, but
yeah, that is, yes, very similar. So
would be very useful to be able to do it in real time.
Yeah, agreed. So I'll also add that to our notes from today. Yeah, I'm very excited for that. And Heather also put some information about batch check-in option that people have asked for some. Actually, that is kind of, you could kind of do batch check-in through the inventory tool already if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, it probably doesn't have all the same circulation functions. Like it won't catch holds.
Yeah, that's true.
One of my beefs with it, if I remember right, was that like it used to tell you, it would either tell you if the items were marked lost and then checked in, or there's something surrounding lost items where it doesn't do what it used to do, or it's harder to catch what it used to do, something like that. But we've kind of just moved on.
Yeah.
Deal with that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop the recording. Our next meeting will be June 8th. And thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.